What's up, everybody? We are here for another episode of Fireflies Forever, and hopefully, we're here to maybe help some of you relax a little bit, but talk about it in a way that is understanding of all parties involved and all thought processes and all that good stuff. Before I bring the guys on screen, I will say that soon and very soon there will be a remix to the intro song.
Nice.
And it will feature none other than our dear brother Meta 5. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm really excited to share this with everyone. It's been it's been in the works for a bit, and I'm just appreciative to Meta for doing this, and yeah, I think folks are really gonna like it. So
Very cool.
really looking forward to that. And like I said, we're bringing these fine gentlemen on screen. Joe, how are you this week?
I'm doing really well, and yeah, I know we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be a packed show. I'm sure there's a lot of comments, questions, concerns, and all that good stuff that are out there, especially for not seeing them. But there's a lot going on, and we'll, like Jeff said, try to keep it positive and try to clear a lot of this stuff up.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, what's going on, man? How are you?
Doing all right. Ready to talk about this. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of thoughts and opinions. I'm sure everyone does on this. So excited to talk about it tonight.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have a lot of discussion, I'm sure. And obviously, the other part of this show, we couldn't do it without all of you in chat. Whether you are watching from X or Facebook or YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're watching. Well, thank you. I will say this because normally I forget, so I am catching myself this week. If you are new to the channel, welcome. We are glad to have you here. We'd ask all of you, new and old, to drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that post notification bell so you know when we have future content. Speaking of future content, we will be here again Thursday evening for our TNA watch along. It is a go home show. And Sunday, we have Genesis, the pay-per-view. Really looking forward to that one. It's going to be really good, I think. So join us for that watch along as well. We'll let you know the time for Sunday, but right now, Thursday, we are 7:45 p.m. Eastern for that. So as we do every week, we are going to start with some memories of Jodie. So, Chris, I'm going to have you set up what we have for this week.
So I got a fun one I found. I had forgotten about this, and I came across the video that Jodie had saved of it. So I didn't know if anybody ever saw this. So I thought it'd be fun to share. So this is a video of Jodie getting a shout out on WWE's show The Bump when Elias was on there, and she had tweeted to Elias about Elias, and they actually featured it on there and gave her a shout out on the show. Thought that was pretty cool, so I wanted to share that with you guys.
Awesome stuff, man. Here it is.
Dad in Tobago, he was jamming out when you were performing. He said that in the YouTube chat. And Marissa said she just downloaded the song, which that must be very rewarding to hear that happen in real time. Yeah. This is a picture that our production team found on the internet, just from Jodie Gilly. It's just a really cool screenshot from the internet. Would you think about this as an album cover? Are you thinking about things like album covers for when are you conceptualizing those type of things when you're in your process?
You know, I am an artist. If you go on my Instagram, you're going to see things I've painted over the years and stuff like that. So I'm loving to creating art, not just with, my music and stuff, but literally art with paper and pen and paint and whatever else you can get in the mix. So I'm always thinking about it. A cool image like that, it makes it easy for me. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I always loved Elias. I miss him being around, but
Yeah.
he's doing some cool. He's like doing. I think he became a pastor now, and he's doing some cool stuff on his own. So I'm glad to see him doing what he wants to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That was awesome. I remember that because for whatever reason, I forget when it was exactly, but for whatever reason, I think I was home.
Mm.
And Jodie texted me, and she's like, "I was on the bump," and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah, she was freaking out about it. Like, they mentioned me on the bump.
So I had to rewind it and checked it out. That was really cool. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Greatly appreciate that. Another thing that we do every week, another passion of Jodie's, artwork, and y'all are gonna get real tired of me saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because why not? If you have artwork, if you've seen some artwork, send it to us. We want the artwork. We want to have so much that we have to hold some for the following weeks. That's what we want. So send us your artwork, folks. If you see some on social media, screenshot it, give the artist credit, send it to us so we can shout them out. So yeah, send it to us, folks. We want your art. So I am going to make this bigger. And here we go. Here's the first.
Oh, that is Nicole. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Beautiful as always from Nicole.
Yeah, very cool. It's almost like it's a tribute to like Where's Howdy kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's hats on the lantern and everything like that. So yeah, it's cool because obviously we haven't seen him in a little while. And so yeah, I mean, crazy what you can put into just a sketchbook like that. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. I love the way the blue glow from the lantern, the way it hits all the different faces too.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome as always by Nicole. Follow her on social media. And Joe sent these over from Herdy Sketch.
Yep. Thank you, Herdy, for sending them to our DMs.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I dig it. Different use of color, but I kind of like it. You know, instead of the bluish green that he uses, more blue than green. He kind of made it more green and the blue in the eyes and everything like that. Yeah, it's just like it's a different version of it, but I think it looks cool with the green.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the way the glow on the eyes.
Oh yeah, that makes it pop.
It's
insane. That's awesome.
Come to think of it now, it's probably more of a mixture of the Bray one that he wore because his was green. And the current Howdy. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
And I love the Joker-esque smile.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, very cool. Once again, I'll say it, and I think I say it every week. It should be a damn comic book.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And this is the last one from Herdy. This is awesome too.
Yeah, very cool. I like this kind of art. You know, it's more. It's kind of how people draw. Like if you've read Marvel comics at all lately, it's kind of how some of the current artists draw the Hulk now. They make him very big arm wise and big body wise, and make his head kind of.
I was about to say it kind of reminds me of the Hulk.
Yep. That's how a lot of the artists are making him now. So yeah, it's very cool. They're just making the muscles bigger and bulgier and with the veins and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, very cool.
He did such a good job with Bray's wolf tattoo on the chest.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's sick. Yeah. Yep.
Looks just like it.
It does. Yeah. That's crazy. Yep.
Yeah. It's wild, man. That is wild. Awesome art as always. All of you artists are so talented. And these are cool. Keep them coming. And you know what? Maybe you artists should go Avenger style or Justice League, you know, depending on if you're Marvel or DC. You should join up and just say, you know what? Screw it. We'll do an online comic or something.
Oh my God. Could you imagine if like each one of them like did some pages?
Some pages, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be sick. They could come up with like a story, have like somebody write the story and then just have them draw it. Oh man, yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Have to do a man in the story, right? They would have to do like an origin Man in the Woods story. That'd be awesome.
Oh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great idea. Get on that, guys.
yeah.
All right, so we're gonna discuss quite a few things this evening. I think the biggest thing that we got from last night, the biggest news is that Karrion Kross, when exiting Adam Pearce's office, told The Miz that the Wyatt Sicks are moving to SmackDown. So let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid right off. Chris, I'll start with you. What do you think of the move to SmackDown? And second part of that question, what do you think of how it was announced?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard it, I wasn't very happy, especially because the way we've talked about it on this show leading up to, we were all excited for Netflix to come. So I thought, well, this is just going to open the door for what they're going to be able to do with them. They're going to have so much more possibilities, so much more freedom and stuff. And then we finally get to that moment, and it's like, oh, they're on SmackDown. And I was like, what? Why? I don't understand. But I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens. I don't understand it right now, but hopefully they know what they're doing. I know that everyone is kind of on edge with us right now because we already have not gotten much from them in the last 2 months, really, especially that we saw them essentially lose the feud to the Final Testament, and then now it appears they're stopping and that's done. Like, that doesn't make sense either. Why are we stopping in the middle of a feud before they even got to have revenge? But I don't know.
Yeah. I just want to bring this up to people. Couple things. One, yesterday, and maybe this was done preemptively, but yesterday we got some masks, Wyatt Sicks masks that dropped on WWE Shop. I don't think, and I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I don't think that WWE would do that and push it out if there was any kind of imminent danger in terms of the group no longer being there. That's one of the things I've seen.
I definitely don't think that's the case.
Right. That's one of the things that I've seen on social media. Second part of that. And yes, I get it. I wasn't a fan of how it was announced. I wasn't. I don't know how I feel about them going to SmackDown because of all of the different things that we've thrown out before as to what Netflix could possibly do with this group. Now you take that away, so those possibilities are, kind of not on the horizon right now, it seems. But when I look at Raw, I honestly, even with 3 hours, I honestly don't know, given the current makeup of Raw's roster, that they were ever going to get the time needed to tell their story. I think a move to SmackDown allows them to kind of go right in, because if you think about SmackDown in terms of roster, it is the weaker of the two shows.
Yeah.
And we've discussed that before.
Yeah.
So I think this gives them an opportunity to shine and really be a centerpiece of that show. But to Chris's point, I don't know that Cross isn't going to end back up in their path too.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow ended up on SmackDown somehow, or The Miz, and chaos ensues. So I don't know, but that's just my 2 cents, Joe. I want to get your thoughts. What do you think of the move, and what do you think of how it was announced?
The announced part of it was surprising. I didn't expect that at all. Especially since some things leak. Usually things like, boy, dirt sheets weren't on top of this one, because there was no mention made. But I like to look at things. Sometimes in wrestling we have to take a step back. We have to look at things from a realism standpoint and not the wrestling world standpoint of it. And to Jeff's point, Netflix is probably controlling a lot of what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Triple H and Netflix are working together and stuff like the WWE, I'm sure. But Netflix is now going to, you remember like years ago when SmackDown would want, like when they were on Fox, SmackDown wanted the best. That's why Bray ended up on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they wanted the best. They wanted Cody on SmackDown. That was what happened. Now, I think because Netflix is doing what they're doing, they want the top stars. So now you've got your Seth, you've got your Drew McIntyre, you've got your CM Punk, you've got pretty much everybody except Cody, who's still on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, Jey Uso, Gunther, your top stars, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, they're all on Raw. And like Jeff said, now last night's show also shocked me because it was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
They cut it at 2.5. So they are obviously right. We were all thinking, they're going to be going over 3 hours, and then they said, well, it doesn't even have to be 3 hours. Well, they weren't lying.
Yeah. So
if they don't have a lot going on, then they're going to cut it. And they're so they've got to have a lot of time for those stars to be on there. And in opposite of that, SmackDown, I watched it last week, and I'll be honest, they stretched that out to that 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't need to be 3 hours. It could have been 2 and been fine, but they really stretched that out. They made segments longer, I think, than they should have, and you felt it. So now, if you have them going, and like Jeff was saying too, if Cross ends up on that show, which, listen, now that they can go and they could say that they want to be put in the portal and they want to go to different shows, he may very well follow them there with that faction, because I don't think with everything that's going on, look at what, like, the only faction you've got now really on Raw is Judgment Day. I mean, there's really not anything else. So they're not these really big, humongous groups that are over there. You've got one-off feuds happening. You've got, a lot of one-on-one wrestling going on. Not even a whole hell of a lot of tag team stuff going on Raw. So maybe Netflix just wants that. They want to just have these longer one-on-one matches maybe that are going to last a half an hour to 40 minutes. Like they had the main event last night was a street fight. They might want this kind of stuff, and they may not want the factions, because factions can be drawn out a little. They can be lengthy. They can have lengthy stories and stuff like that. So I'm not shocked that they did it. Although I was shocked by the announcement, but in the long run, I think it will be better. Now, the only thing is I see people talking about the bloodline and stuff like that. I honestly don't know if that's going to go there right away. The bloodline still seems like they've got an agenda going on and everything like that. So I don't know if they're going to go right at that. And besides, to be honest, that scared me a little bit, because I don't think they're going to have those bloodline guys be losing that much. So that would scare me to think that they're just going to get fed to the wolves. So I would rather Cross and the crew move there and then continue this there. That's the only thing coming out of this that I really want to see, because I don't want WWE to get back to that point where they're starting to assume that the fans are going to forget things. And we saw it a little bit with The Rock. And I'm hoping that we're not going back to that, because that I thought was ended with who leaving the company, because he liked to do that and assume that fans are stupid. He even made a comment about that way back when. So I hope they're not going back to that. That would not give me a lot of confidence. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because this is the Triple H regime. And I'm going to say, I'm also going to give Rob Fee the benefit of the doubt too, because I know that he's involved in a lot of this. And I know he's done a great job. So I'm going to stay on the positive side of it and go with the fact that, they're there now. And I think they're probably in a better place.
Gotcha. I do want to get to some of the comments here in chat, because I think it's important to discuss. Clown earlier was saying that he doesn't have a good feeling. He says here, I feel like they have no plan and they are just a rudderless ship. The only bright spot I just thought of, they may have moved because Netflix has commercials in the US, and it seems like most promos are only being seen by the international fans, so perhaps that was the reason for the move. Jesse Callan saying more time on SmackDown means more time for something awesome, and SmackDown needed something else special. The Wyatt Sicks is that something else, in my opinion. How, Joe, you kind of understanding where Clown's coming from, but also seeing where Jesse is pointing out the opportunity.
I don't think the no plan thing, I think that's extreme. I don't think that's true. I don't think that they have no plan. I know that that's the first thing a lot of people go to, and they're going to go to that with Bray as well, and they did in the past, right? Whenever something bad happened, we're always right away thinking, oh God, here we go. They're going to do the same thing to these guys that they did to Bray after the whole Goldberg mess, and it's going to get to that point. I don't agree with that. Again, like I said, I have faith in Rob Fee. I think he is very. If you would listen to the interview he had with Bo Dallas when they were on, I forget the name of the couple that did that podcast with them. It did not seem at all like Rob Fee was not interested in this group going forward, or that he had no plan. It did not seem like that at all. So I don't agree with that comment. I think that's a little pessimistic. And now, as far as maybe the commercials thing, maybe. Maybe. I know someone even said on a video that I watched that maybe it was because they don't want horror on there, which that I don't understand either, because Netflix has a lot of horror stuff on their channel. So I don't necessarily agree with that either, because they're showing that, and listen, there's kids, there's ratings on Netflix where families don't have to let kids watch certain things on there. So I don't agree with that point of view, but. Yeah, I'm not. Listen, I'm not taking the road of where they're. I know I've seen the B word out there, which comes up every single time something bad happens in wrestling. I'm not gonna be privy to that, and I don't think that they have no plan. It had who been in charge. Okay, I would have definitely been a little more nervous, but I don't feel that this is the same regime. And I just think that the current roster, the way that it's stacked up on Netflix, I think that what Chris said earlier, I just don't think they had the time. I think that's what it is.
Chris, what about you? You on those two comments in particular?
Yeah, I definitely think that most likely that's the case. Like I said, I definitely think that Netflix is involved in this. I'm sure they had a big say on. They spent $1 billion after all on this.
Yeah,
I'm sure they had a big say on who and what they wanted to be on their flagship show on there. So I think that I'm guessing a lot of stuff's happened in the last few months. Obviously, WWE has just exploded recently. Their popularity has just been through the roof. Everything, and so I think a lot of things may have changed. Maybe the Wyatt Sicks haven't been able to be in that spot that they thought they were going to be because of these other things have changed, and so maybe this is just kind of a realignment that we think we can we see the holes on SmackDown, so we've got Raw pretty much covered. Let's see if we can plug them in here and see if it's a better fit. is what I'm kind of guessing. Another thing I thought of too is look at, we talked about it before about how much Karrion Kross in the Final Testament needed some build up. Well, look at Karrion Kross now. I mean, in my opinion, he's already been made into a much bigger star than he had been recently. And so maybe for him, this was a good idea to leave it like this. Because if he would have taken a loss, maybe they would have just fell right back to where he was. So maybe in moving them to SmackDown and not having a final resolution to that right now, it keeps that build up that Kross has gotten, and they can build on it from here with the Final Testament while keeping them separate. But then I have a feeling at some point down the road, we'll have some more interaction between these two factions. It may not be anytime soon, but I have a feeling that at some point we'll get some more to this, but it may just not be right now.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think looking at both comments, I mean, I understand the fear. I do. Like I get it. As a fan, we've seen certain things play out, and you know what they say about learning from history and all that. But to Joe's point, I do think we're in a different regime. And I mean, no one's saying don't be upset, don't be frustrated. But I think understanding that there probably is a plan, because they're not gonna just if they had no plan, we don't get the announcement that they're going to SmackDown.
I think they would just disappear off TV and not mention them anymore if they were going to go that way.
Right. And I think it's also pretty interesting because they could have done this on social media as well.
Mm-hmm.
They did this on a show that's available globally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that matters too. Just as a point. Anthony says Bray Wyatt was a part of SmackDown before he died, so the Wyatt Sicks, it has a meaning to them to be on SmackDown. I think that's a fair point too.
Yep.
Especially when you take into consideration how iconic the blue title was. That was awesome. So
one more quick point too, and again, is think about it this way. I'm sure they'll still be doing a draft, and the draft will be after WrestleMania, which is just a few short months away. And so that said, these rosters are going to get shifted. There's no doubt the rosters are going to be shifted. When championships change, things change, the rosters are going to get moved around. So, and also SmackDown isn't staying 3 hours. It's only going to be for months, and then it's going to change back. So I think that there's going to be things that they're going to change around, and so I don't think this is static. I think there's going to be changes made, and so yeah.
Yeah, very well could be that they use this time, like you said, they definitely drug out that SmackDown. Maybe they use this time while it's 3 hours and feature the Wyatt Sicks, build them up some more, and then move them back to Raw in a few months. I mean, who knows? Like you said, anything's possible.
Yep.
And let's be honest, if WWE has taught us anything, is that the rules of the draft don't always apply.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's
for sure.
People at certain times can just show up kind of anywhere they want to. So yeah. So there's that too. But again, I just want to say, if you are feeling doom and gloom right now, let that last for like this long, and then try your best to look at the opportunities that are ahead. They're not going to get lost on SmackDown. Let's be honest.
And in all reality, I mean, that's the worst thing for them right now. I mean, we know that Triple H looks at social media. He wants to see what the fans are saying. Right. And if all he's reading is just this constant, oh, I don't care about them anymore, like I've been seeing a lot, or whatever, I'm done with them, blah blah blah. Like that's not going to help them at all.
Mhm.
What would be good to help them would be to see people positive. Like, okay, well, let's just see let's hold out hope and see what they have for them. Let's see what they're going to do with them before we pass judgment. That's going to be the best thing for the Wyatt Sicks right now.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we did get some things on X, on social media, from the Wyatt Sicks, and I want to go through some of this with you guys. So here's the first. I forget which one of you guys sent this to me.
I sent it over to you.
Set this up for us, Joe, and kind of what are your theories, and then we'll kick it over to Chris, get his theories, and then we'll dive a little deeper.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was as simple as you know that Bray has used Bible verses in the past, and these guys have as well in all their clues and stuff like that C Wrestling finds all the time. And I saw this, and I saw it on Twitter. I hadn't watched C's video at all even before I saw this, but I saw this and I'm like, has to be a Bible verse. So I just pretty much simply typed in J13-7, and of course it came right up as to what it said. And so, they're obviously reacting, and this is, I think, their message to everyone. This is, this is what they want people to hear from them. And you can translate this to any way you want it to be. And I know, some people were looking at it from a negative standpoint. Some people were looking at it from a positive standpoint. But the way I took both of these little messages were, maybe they're a little disappointed too. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they were. Being on Raw right now is a huge thing. But I'm sure that they were told. And when they were told about it, they had to react. And so they reacted with this, and then the little Bible passages here. There are two of them. There's the J13-7, which is John, and then the other one is ECCL. I forget the abbreviation for that. These. That's it. Yeah, thank you. And they're both kind of saying that, hey, your questions are going to be answered. We've heard this as well. We hear you. We want to let you guys know that we're good, and we're just going to take it in stride. We're gonna do what we're gonna do, and yeah, it all has a meaning. There's meaning to this. There's something behind this, and things are going to continue. So, yeah.
Yeah, Chris, I want to get your thoughts too, and then shout out to Ken from X, bringing up Ecclesiastes 3:1 as well. It's in the light above the chair, and we will get to that. We're going to break that verse down, Ken. So yeah, thank you for shouting that out. All right, Chris.
So I really like this, and I actually didn't see this until after I had watched Raw, which is probably a good thing. I know they put it out before Raw, but it gave me a lot of comfort, because obviously it spoke to me, because that's how I was feeling. That's the thing I kept thinking of when I saw it on Raw. I was like, I don't understand. Why would they do this? It doesn't make any sense. But then to see that they say, I know you don't understand it right now, but you will. Okay, they know what they're doing. I'm just going to trust.
Yep.
Is what made me think by that. So I think that was really, really cool of them to put out something like that. And obviously, after seeing Raw, it was definitely, that was in reference to that 100%.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And again, that timing, I'm glad that you were able to see it then. I'm sure that was very reassuring in that moment, especially after that. So we've got a couple of verses here. I apologize for not being able to make that any larger, but Chris, I think you sent me this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So can you mind breaking this down?
Yeah. So like I said, I think that was a really cool way to do it. And like we've seen they've used Bible verses before in the different QR codes and leading up to both the White Rabbit and to this. And so I thought that was cool that they found something that could relay their message, but in a way using that. And it was actually from something Jesus said in there, that you do not realize now what I'm doing, but later you will understand. So I think that's a good message to all of us. We all just need to take a step back and trust WWE and the Wyatt Sicks that they know what they're doing. It doesn't make sense to us right now, but as they said, it will.
Joe, what do you think about how that post ties in so well with these verses, especially this first one here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a confidence inspiring thing. Because again, we're not privy to this is this is how, and Jodie's talking about this all the time, but this is how Bray used to incorporate Bible verses into wrestling, right? And this is because as fans, we're not privy to what goes on behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. We're not privy to what the wrestlers know 4 to 5 weeks in advance that we don't know. And that's why some of these, some of the sheets out there exist, because, sometimes they get men on the inside and they get, advance notice and things like that. But, and even a lot of that gets debunked anyway. And a lot of that's not even true. But I think they're doing a good job with WWE in stopping a lot of this early gossip and a lot of the rumors and stuff like that end up being false. I've noticed that, since Triple H has started, you're not seeing as much of the stuff coming from those places that end up being true. So now anybody could guess, but I think that this is saying that, maybe they know what we don't know, and probably do. When they were told about this, I'm sure they had a meeting with Triple H or whoever, or Rob Fee or whoever it was. And Rob Fee is in communication with Bo all the time. They know each other pretty well. So, he may have relayed and said, okay, this is what's going on. We're gonna stop this thing over in Raw for now, but this is why. But we're not privy to that. And I think fans get annoyed. And that's why fans go to those other sites and places, because they want to know. You have to know. Well, listen, before social media, guys, and I know it was way back and I'm old, but before social media, we never knew. We never knew. We had nothing to tell us. The only thing we had to do was read magazines, and they were months behind. So we never knew anything. And you know what? Wrestling was fantastic then, because we were surprised. We didn't know what was coming. So we don't need to know all the time. Knowing in wrestling ruins things. Mm-hmm. It's like knowing the end of a new movie that's coming out, or a big spoiler for a new movie. I guess it's fun to read them, but you're going to ruin it. You're ruining it for yourself. So I think that's what this is. I think that's them saying you will understand soon as to what's going on, but you must wait until it plays out. And that's how wrestling should be, in my opinion.
Yes, instant gratification it's been a terrible thing on our society as a whole, but man, what it's done to wrestling, like you said, is just sad. Like, I'm old school too. I grew up in those days before that. We never knew what was going to happen, and I loved it that way. I loved to be surprised and know what was going to happen. To speak to that, I just heard something the other day that I just could not believe, but I guess it's just the day and age we're in. I sometimes listen to Wrestle Talks podcasts and their videos and stuff, and they said something about that we don't have any definitive clues yet or ideas yet on what the main events for WrestleMania is going to be, and now in January, and WrestleMania is coming up in April, and they were sounded like they were worried by that. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, we shouldn't have any idea yet of what could be the main event of WrestleMania that's still 3 or 4 months away. Like, that's insane to think that that's a time to panic because of that. Like, I don't like all of that stuff. We don't need to know everything.
Yep.
Can either of you imagine WCW, the franchise, the icon Sting, went away Then he started showing up in the rafters.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
He didn't speak a word for 18 months on television.
Yeah.
People would be out of their minds.
Oh, people would just quit watching. They're like, I give up.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
done.
like, "Oh, I'm done with this. This is stupid."
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Most wrestling fans today could not handle that at all.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. Agreed. It's the I want it, and I've said this on our show on Sundays on Between the Ropes. This is very much I call it the Veruca Salt generation.
Mhm.
I want it all, and I want it now.
Yep.
And you don't
And then as soon
understand.
as I get it, I'm already bored with it, and I want
Yeah,
something
like
else.
you don't understand like how much it ruins stuff.
Yeah.
Like you know, I know myself because I grew up when big movies would come out, a lot of times you'd get novels out before the films.
Mhm.
So the books would come out first. And I would read the books and people would say I'm ruining it. And it kind of did ruin it for myself, but that was because the books contained a whole bunch of other stuff that didn't make it to the movies back then,
Mhm.
because the books were made of the original novel, the original writer that did it, and the script. But that stuff got cut out of there. So I was many times pissed because stuff that was in the book didn't make it to the film and they couldn't fit it in there. But yeah, man, like it's, you know, especially in wrestling, it's so much better when you don't know what's coming. It's so much more fun because
And it's
you get
designed to be
you're
that way. It
shocked.
always has been.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yep. That's the joy, the draw, and the unique ability of wrestling to be able to entertain.
Mhm.
Is in essence, you're asking people to watch two people beat up on each other
Mm-hmm.
in a contest that's predetermined. And after a while, if you have no story, if you have nothing surrounding that, it can just get a little, okay. I've seen one match, I've seen them all. So you got to add some story in.
Mhm.
And if we think back to some of the movies that, if you like these kinds of movies, if you get to a movie that I love, I'll say, and that's Saw.
Mm.
The beauty of Saw is that the answer to everything was in front of every single one of us the entire time,
Mhm.
and none of us knew it until the very end.
Yep.
Mhm.
One of the best
That-
endings ever in a movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Brilliant. I mean, you get that kind of twist
Mm.
and it does something. You remember that. And it's the same thing for wrestling, you know, when you get great storylines, but also when you get surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Think about the first time we saw The Undertaker,
Mhm.
the first time we saw The Fiend. When we saw Cody Rhodes, even though people spoiled that to high heaven, when he came back to WWE, seeing him there
Mhm.
was like, okay, I heard the rumors, but the fact that he's actually back there, same thing with CM Punk.
Yep.
Not knowing Edge in the Rumble several years ago, not knowing adds another element and another layer to the story that these companies are trying to tell.
Mhm.
And I just feel like we do ourselves a disservice, and I feel like we do the companies a disservice, because what ends up happening is we beg for it. The company finally pays that off, and immediately, well, that's not the way I would have done it.
Mhm.
Well, that's you're not working for any wrestling company.
Yeah.
So if people really valued that feedback, you'd probably be getting paid for it. Just saying.
Think about last night. I mean, don't get me wrong. Penta's debut was awesome, but how much more awesome that would have been if we didn't know about it ahead of time, like we did. If that just happened. And
Michael Cole even mentioned it. The worst kept secret in wrestling.
Mhm.
He had to even mention it. But yeah, like it's back to Jeff's point with the Saw movie. This is why guys like M. Night Shyamalan don't have success today, because they can't keep the twist endings from being a secret anymore. It leaks out somehow, some way, whether you have someone leak out a point of a script or something like that. But, imagine a movie like The Sixth Sense, which was another one that had a tremendous ending the first time you saw it. You didn't know what was coming. It was completely crazy. And, but that's hard to keep back anymore. Now there's leaks coming from movie sets.
Yeah.
There's script leaks coming out, on Reddit or wherever some of these other sites that leak a lot of stuff, so it's so hard in generation with cell phones and with cameras and with all that kind of stuff to keep anything behind closed doors, that when someone is able to do it, it's so much more awesome because people didn't know and they didn't see it coming. So yeah,
you can only have that experience once.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Like even go back to the Cody Rhodes match when he wrestled Roman, and how crazy everybody went when it was Undertaker that came out. Pretty much nobody thought that was going to necessarily happen.
Yeah.
So when they sneak a little something in like that, don't get upset about it. Just enjoy it because it doesn't happen.
My favorite thing about wrestling is the surprises. I live
Yeah.
Yep. That's why Royal Rumble has always been one of my favorite events because we usually get several.
Exactly. Yep. We'll bring up our last verse for the evening here. This is Ecclesiastes. Chris, can you break this one down for us too?
Sure. So I think it kind of goes along with the other one, and just it's giving us reassurance is what I feel like that, that I think this is referring to their time on Raw. There was a time, we had a time for that, but things change, and I think that we'll see another time, on SmackDown. Maybe we'll even get some kind of a really cool, shocking thing like we did at their debut on Raw. I mean, who knows? I could see them doing something like that to make a big impact in their move to SmackDown. So, but I also think that they're on the flip side of this, in the Bible, when they talked about seasons, it was always like a determined amount of time, like, a few months, a year, something like that. In between things happening. So I think that leaves the door open that maybe that this is just a season that they're going to SmackDown. They're going to come back to Raw. I think that could be a part of this too. So obviously we'll have to wait and see what happens, but both of these together just gave me a lot of reassurance that they have a plan. They know what they're doing, and we'll see what happens. And I think sooner rather than later, we're going to be happy about what they're doing.
Joe, what are your thoughts on this verse?
I got to point out what TJ's comment is. That's interesting, actually. The 17, he was saying, I think the 17-3 in the post represents this Friday, January 17th. Are these dates? If you look up, I just looked up 3-1. March 1st is a Saturday.
That's Elimination Chamber, March 1st.
Yep.
Oh, that's a great shout, dude. I wasn't even thinking that way, and that's a great shout out because they have done that before.
Yeah,
double meanings and things, and they use things that were dates as well.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right. Maybe the 17th is Friday, and maybe Elimination Chamber is the 3-1. So that's a great call out. That's a great shout out, man. Yeah, again, to Chris's point, what I took from this one is the little definition that they had underneath here, some of which are in our control and others which are not. That to me kind of just says that, they didn't have a say. They were just told. They were just told, okay, we're moving you to SmackDown. I don't think it was done maliciously. No. I'm sure that they probably knew ahead of time a little more than we did. But, this is saying that sometimes things happen that aren't in our control. And, we didn't necessarily want to leave Raw, but we're going to make the best of it. And, this happened, and now we're just going to go with it. This is wrestling. This is how wrestling works, and it's not always going to favor everyone. And again, this if that meaning there is what they posted this for, then to me that says that maybe it does lead back to the Netflix thing. That maybe Netflix was like, we would love to have them, but we just don't have the room. And we want this, and we want this, and we want this, and we want this. We want the Drew McIntyre thing going on with Seth and Punk. We want that. We want we want Rhea on here. We want Liv on here. This is who we want. And maybe they just weren't the ones they wanted right now. So the three is the Bible verse, but also the 3-1 is what TJ was referring to as a date. So that would be March 1st, and March 1st is Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
So,
and they haven't done a pay-per-view yet. Who knows? Maybe that'll be the first one they show up on.
Yep.
Yeah, folks were also talking about like the January, since it was 17-3 and they show up this Friday. I just threw out kind of a random shot in the dark, but I said maybe the number of the 6 that will be there initially.
Maybe they show up in the third hour of SmackDown.
Third hour of SmackDown, yeah.
Yep. So I think those are all good theories and guesses and shout outs there. So, all right, we're going to end on this one. We'll start with Joe. Joe, when do you think we see them? And any final words that you would have for fans who are trying to say, all right, I'm trying to stay in this, but it's a little tough right now?
I don't really think they put them off. At least I know I wouldn't. Watching SmackDown last week, I wouldn't wait because, like I said, that show really, really felt like it was dragged out to me. Some parts of it were really good. Some parts of it were very, very slow. And some parts of it just seemed like they drug out matches longer than they should have been. So I wouldn't wait. If they were announced it, I imagine that the plans were in motion probably before yesterday. And so I would think that I would think we would see them Friday. I wouldn't be surprised. Then again, don't get your hopes up just in case that they're deciding just not yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see them Friday, because I don't think they want that feel to that show to keep feeling like it's being drug out. And then as far as, look, any consolation is just the fact that, guys, it's wrestling. And like Jeff said, they're not going to release a whole bunch of masks and a whole bunch of new shirts and a whole bunch of new merch if all of a sudden they were going to be like, yeah, we got nothing. We got nothing for you. That just absolutely wouldn't make any sense. That's not the way they do business in WWE. The merchandising doesn't happen that way. They put out merch most of the time when something's exciting that's going to happen, like with Alexa Bliss's doll, with Bray's stuff and his masks and stuff, and how they used to come out. That used to always happen right before something big happened, because merchandise-wise, think about it. Are you going to buy stuff from a group that you're not seeing for maybe a month or two? Probably not. Probably not. So I don't, that I think is about as positive a thing as you can get. And also, like I said, I just think that this is a Netflix thing, and yeah. So I would just, kind of just try to stay as positive as you can. I know it's hard because of some of the stuff that happened to Bray, but I do believe, when that stuff happened, Rob Fee wasn't around. And I do believe in him. I do. I think he's a good dude. I think he's a good writer. I think he's good with what he's doing. And also, like, there's been some little stuff going on from Jason Baker that he's putting out, little teases here and there and things like that too. So, I think he's probably got a little bit of inside info too, knowing that he makes a lot of the masks and stuff for WWE now. So I think just have a little patience. If it's not this coming Friday, I'm sure it'll be very, very soon that we will see them and stuff like that. And they haven't gone back to any kind of White Rabbit stuff or any kind of teases in that respect. So I don't think they're going to go back to the start and kind of just start a whole new thing and make us wait another like month or so. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Chris, when do you think we see him? And any final words that you have for the fans?
I hate to say it because I know it's like Joe said that can't bank on it or anything, but I would almost put money that we see him on SmackDown this Friday just because it's been a while already and now this happened. I think they're going to want to get them out there and so people can kind of breathe a sigh of relief and see that, okay, they're still around, they're still going to be doing something. That's why it wouldn't shock me if they do something big. I saw somebody in the comments mention Massacre #2. We could see something like that again very well. And that would be awesome. I think that would be a great way for people to kind of reassure people and bring it back because everyone loved that. Their debut was great. So, yeah, I could definitely see something like that happen. And think back, we talked about it. Think back to what Jodie always used to talk about. I mean, I feel like the best trait of a Bray Wyatt / Wyatt Sicks fan is to have patience. We've had to develop that a lot over the years. We had to have patience because of different things that happen. And, in the end, it was always awesome. Everything that we ever got from Bray was awesome, and for the most part. And things that we got from the Wyatt Sicks are awesome. So, yeah, we all need to have patience, take a breath. It'll be okay. They're not buried. We'll see them most probably this Friday. I mean, think yesterday, in addition to those masks getting released, we saw all the Penta merchandise get released. And then what happened? He debuted last night. Mm-hmm. So that bodes well for this Friday, too, that they just released all those masks to sell yesterday. And they very well could show up this Friday. So, yeah, we know how WWE operates. That definitely fits the pattern of what they do. They wouldn't be releasing that kind of stuff if they were going to be going away or anything. So, yeah, we all just need to have patience and trust in them. And like I said, I think sooner rather than later we're going to be pretty happy with what we get. Is my feeling. And I hope now this bodes well for me that I've got tickets to the Smackdown on January 31st, the night before Rumble. So I may actually get to see them in person. I already purchased a photo op earlier that day. I'm going to get to meet them and get my picture with them.
Nice.
Before that Smackdown. So hopefully I'll see them on the Smackdown too.
And I know Clown will be at SmackDown this week, so you might actually get a chance to see it.
Oh yeah, see him come right cool, Clown.
Yeah. Happy early birthday to Clown there. Yeah, that's not something you were expecting. So see, it may have worked out very well for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Chris, the fact that you get to see the Rumble as stacked as it is.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm trying to contain my excitement. Every day it gets closer, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
Just make sure you get some good video clips of the "I Believe in Joe Hendry" song when it pops on.
Oh yeah, I'm totally expecting to hear that, and I'm going to totally mark out.
That's gonna happen, I feel.
So. Oh yeah, our first episode after Rumble, be prepared. I'm gonna have a lot of cool pics and videos I think to share with all you guys.
That's awesome.
I'll be ready for it. All right, folks. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this week. We greatly appreciate you. Again, a
lot of people in the chat, man.
Yeah, a ton of people. So drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We're glad you're here. Hopefully you enjoyed the discussion. Hopefully you feel a little bit better. You're a little calmer. But, if you're still into wrestling, go watch NXT this evening. And, Tazzie's channel, they're doing a watch along. So go join them. Some interesting stuff going on in NXT right now, and I don't have enough time to get into it. I'll just say go look it up on social media because there's a lot. And we'll be back Thursday for TNA. 7:45 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here on Sunday as well for our Genesis watch along for TNA. Not entirely sure what time yet. We'll let you all know on Thursday. So that's it for us this week, folks. Take care. We hope you're having a good start to your week. We hope you have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the wrestling. And we'll see you next time on Fireflies Forever. Take care, everyone.